Hi, everyone. I'd like to thank all of you who are joining us today to talk about our new view on travel. My name is Sherry Coleman, and I am the host today and the manager of Robert Q Travel in Goderich.
And I'm Christine Turner. Sorry, I have something going on. Sorry about that. I'm Christine Turner, and I am here from the escapes.ca and from the west coast of Canada in Vancouver, BC.
Hello, and I am Tammy Prost from Saskatchewan with Tropical Escapes, Destination Weddings and Travel, Inc.
We have approximately 59 years of travel experience collectively between us, and we are experts in our field. Since the Cubs, my favorite baseball team's opening day was April 1st, I thought we'd stroll on down to Chicago for this week's show. Maybe we'll hop the GO train, get some pizza. We just are out here to share, you know, all the craziness and the new things that are going on and what's new and what we should and shouldn't do, and just fun little facts. So before we go on with the show, I'd like to do a disclaimer that we just want you to know that these are our views and opinions only, nobody else's, just ours. And if you need to seek medical advice, you should talk to your family doctor. And always make sure you check with the Foreign Affairs, Government of Canada's Foreign Affairs website for the latest travel advisories. There has been an abundance of information that has come out in the last 2 weeks since we last did this show. So in case you missed it, I think one of the biggest topics here in Canada anyway is the Air Canada Air Transat takeover deal. Is they're mutually agreed to terminate the deal. I personally think that that's a good idea. I don't feel that one company should monopolize a whole entire country. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
I agree too. Yeah,
Right.
I agree too. It just, yeah, we need more airlines through Canada. We can't just live with 2 or possibly 3. We need a couple more. And yeah, I'm happy about the termination of it.
Same. 𝒂𝒂𝒑 president and CEO Pierre-Karl Péladeau has indicated that the previous proposal that was on the table in December still remains valid. He submitted a cash proposal to acquire Air Transat for about $5 a share, which is approximately $190 million, which is a heck of a lot less than they were offered by Air Canada over a year ago. Transat's largest shareholder says he's not interested in giving the company away at that price. If he receives support from the federal government, which they are in the advanced stages of that. So the Minister of Transport statement, the most important thing in addition to protecting jobs is preserving the long-term viability of Air Transat. So,
which is interesting given that they've refused thus far to provide any form of assistance other than, you know, CERB and stuff like that, which everybody qualifies for, but there really hasn't been anything sector specific.
There hasn't.
So for them to say, well, okay, this guy doesn't want to lose a bunch of money on this sale, so therefore the government should pay to bail them out, which hello, government, that means taxes, that means us.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I mean,
the
they
shareholder can just take it.
They bailed them out after September 11th. I don't know why. I don't see any reason why they're not giving support to the airlines and the travel industry now. It seems pretty silly to me, or kind of just left on the back table. But I mean, after 34 years, I think they've been in business, Air Transat, 34 years. They've been a great company, and I hate to see them go. I hope they can hang in there.
Me too. Yeah.
Swoop's new service has service to Victoria from Calgary and Puerto Vallarta. Nope, that's not true. From Toronto and Edmonton. You and your airport codes.
Sorry.
That's your fault. Kelowna is going from Toronto, Hamilton, and Winnipeg, and Abbotsford to Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, and Hamilton starting in June. WestJet flights starts service April 26th from Calgary to Puerto Vallarta and Cabo. Cancun, and April 26th, Toronto is going to start with WestJet, Cancun and Montego Bay. Sunwing has canceled all their flights to the sun destinations, which, I mean, They are charter, so that's understandable a little bit more than some of our bigger companies. Canada and the US border is still closed until the 21st of April. That's creeping up. I'm sure that there will be an extension added to that as well. And the Minister of Transport does not think that the travel restrictions are going to ease up by May 1st. Trudeau, of course, said that being able to open the border soon, we're not there yet, but they are still in talks with the US and Biden and trying to work something out, but there's just been no big final word out there on that. So we could have taken that, in case you missed it, information, and made it like 3 pages long, and some of it's changed in between what we've already, gotten out here. So Christine, why don't you tell us about some of the new non-restrictive and restrictive rules that are in play right now?
Yeah, so it's funny, I was going to say, they're talking about continuing the restrictions. April 21st so these restrictions that were on the border, the mandatory 3-day hotel quarantine, the mandatory 14-night overall quarantine, these are all set to expire April 21st. I think it's fair to assume that they're going to get extended. I think we all agree on that. However, the US is really starting to put a lot of pressure, especially the northern states, where they want to reopen the border. And I think that what's going to be interesting is that the US obviously has a massive supply of vaccine because they're creating their own. And we stopped doing that many years ago, other than for the flu and stuff like that. But we don't have our own supply of COVID, of COVID vaccine. So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure from the senators in those northern states to get Biden and the rest of the US government to release more doses of the vaccine to Canada. So, they're planning on being fully vaccinated by May 1st for those who want it in the US. So I could see a huge chain of vaccines starting to come up to us. Now, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's also a massive ketchup a shortage in the US. So it was toilet paper, then it was sandy wipes. Now we're on to ketchup. Now Canada makes their own ketchup. So we're okay. So I thought maybe what we should do is we'll trade batches of doses for the vaccine for batches of ketchup. Seems like a win-win, right?
Hey,
yep.
So so with the US, the CDC has said that fully vaccinated Americans can travel again, but they will still have to wear masks and stuff like that, but they won't have to quarantine unless they're coming, they won't have to quarantine at all. They will still have to do PCR tests or antigen tests before they fly back into the US. Domestic travel, they're not going to require that. So there's hope for that. I don't know if the BC CDC is going to follow, or the Public Health Agency of Canada is going to follow suit on that. But what's been interesting is there was a recent study that, I don't know if you guys saw this, about the hotel quarantine. So in the space of a month, there were 115,000 people who came into Canada. Now, some of them were essential travel, so they didn't have to be quarantine or anything that are specifically do the hotel quarantine. But was it 89,000 people did have to enter the hotel quarantine program. So that's 3 nights. We all know Trudeau said that was going to cost approximately $2,000 per person. I'm not going to get into the crazy details of the math, but if we assume just across the board, $2,000 per person. Okay, so that's not factoring in if there's 2 people to a room, it could have been $3,000. If it's 4 people to a room, it might have been $4,000. Let's just take $2,000. All the hotel stays that were booked, that amounts to $44 million that went into this hotel quarantine program. Now,
Crazy.
I don't know how much we're paying for vaccines because they haven't released those contracts. I don't know how much we're paying for studies on therapeutics for COVID, but I'm thinking 44 million. And remember, that is a conservative estimate. I think that money could have been spent on anything else that would be better. Considering, again, as we know, what is it, 2%, less than 2% of travelers inbound to Canada have tested positive with COVID. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, just an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and then IATA is looking at some different studies. There was a study by British Airways' parent company in Virgin Airways, that they were looking at some different antigens. And Sherry, you and I pulled a whole bunch of lists of hotels, of airports around the world where they're doing rapid tests at the airport, and they're just as accurate as a PCR test. Not all of them, but there are many that are. So, you know, kind of, wouldn't it make sense to do a test, like test on the, before you get on the plane, test when you're in destination, before you go to the resort, test before you get back on the plane to come home, test as soon as you get home. Problem solved, it seems.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we're going to jump into local updates.
Yes. Tell us what's going on out west.
So we just entered another lockdown. It feels like this has been on lockdown since forever. What the consequences of this were that we had a fairly large outbreak in Whistler Blackcomb ski resort. So that's been shut down. It's not technically the end of the season yet, for probably a couple more weeks, but that effectively ended their season for them. So that was kind of disappointing, when skiing outdoors is sort of deemed to be one of the safer activities that you can do. In Ontario, I think you've just gone back on a pretty major lockdown.
Pretty high end. Yeah, we're right back in it.
And then in Saskatchewan, Tammy, what's the deal there?
We've gone into kind of a lockdown as well. We're kind of hitting really high COVID cases right now with the variant. So the southern half of Saskatchewan pretty much is on a lockdown. They recommend no travel in and out of like all cities right now. They would rather you just stay home, work, don't be commuting, don't leave Regina. Like for the people that live out here at the beach and whatnot, you're commuting back and forth, but they're recommending no travel to Saskatoon, Regina, Moose Jaw, all the other little cities, South Saskatchewan. Yeah, so we're kind of shut down too. Restaurants, bars are closed, all the indoor facilities are closed, no visiting outside your households, and with it only visiting within your own households, that sort of thing. So yeah, we're back in it. On a positive
square one.
Yeah, on a positive note, they just announced for my age group, 53 and 54, we can go get our COVID test this weekend for the drive-through. So we're gonna hopefully go this weekend and
awesome.
Go get it. They had already shut down this morning the drive-through because it was so packed before it opened 2 hours prior. They had closed it down right now. So that's a good sign, incentive that people want it. People want it, and people are getting it. So
for sure. Yeah, well, that's good. Well, excellent. You know, we're always talking about doom and gloom, it seems here, but that's a good thing. And I know that you have quite a bit of information, Tammy, on what's destination-wise, what's going on in the Caribbean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we've got a few new hotels opening up throughout the Caribbean and southern destinations. We've got a new Secrets opening up in St Martin in April on the French side. A new Dreams Mazatlan has announced to be opening up, but that's not till 2023. So more information on that. A new Dreams and Secrets resort opening up in Punta Mita in Puerto Vallarta. So that's going to be a great addition to that destination. Club Med is actually going to be opening up an all-inclusive ski resort in Quebec, Canada. I believe it's going to be the first Club Med all-inclusive. So that's going to be opening December of 2021 here. So there's some good options for skiing, I guess, for the winter out in Quebec. Let's see what else. Barcelo Resorts is looking at operating a flight to Canada this winter to the Dominican Republic, on a new Ibrojet airline, which could be starting by the end of this year. So there's a new charter airline that is popping up. Let's see what else we've got. The DR is now going to be requiring digital entry forms, kind of similar to what Mexico's tourist card is. And Quintaru has now, the Quintaru visit tax is now in effect as of April 1st. And you can do that online or in destination, and it'll be required when you depart Mexico from now, or the Cancun, Quintaru, Cancun side. And also just kind of saw today, there's going to be a new adult only resort opening in Playa del Carmen. It's the Yucatan Resort. It's going to be a chic boutique type resort located in the heart of Playa del Carmen. So that's going to be a new exciting
Mhm.
option. It looks really nice online from what I've seen right now. And I think
Yeah.
that's opening up in May.
Well, and it's just a fun little spot down there in Playa del Carmen, right? You can walk around and it's pretty cool down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that property is located right on Fifth Avenue, so it's not like, you know, the Hilton or Panama Jack Playa del Carmen where you're about a block and a half off of it.
Right.
This is right smack dab in the middle of it. And I just read this morning that for an up fee, you have access to the beach area, pools, restaurants, all the facilities of the Hilton Playa del Carmen.
As well.
So, you know, it's a little different. But if
Yeah.
you prefer more of the action, I think it's a great opportunity for you to, you know, pay the up fee, hang out at the Hilton, at the beach, and the pool during the day,
Yeah.
and then
And then
at
have your
night,
nightlife.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Did I mention that the Yucatan Resort is by the Hilton, owned by the Hilton? So
Yeah.
just to make sure, I wasn't sure if I mentioned that. In other news, down south in California, Disney Magic mobile options are now going to be launched on your Apple device. And just like we mentioned before, everything is now pretty much going to be touchless, QR codes, whatnot, in the palm of your hand. So that's going to be taking, giving the freedom of some touchless experiences.
I would assume that everybody's going to go along that way.
I really do too. And it's not a bad thing. It's less paperwork you have to have.
Exactly. You don't have that big passport wallet booklet anymore. And you're like, which one's this? Which one's that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll save some trees.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And my last note is Thailand is opening Phuket to vaccinated visitors. Will now be able to visit the island starting in July, and they won't have to quarantine.
Cool.
So yeah, it's kind of my updated news on destinations.
Awesome. Well, there's more of that going on in the cruise world. It's exploding right now. Christine.
Definitely, yeah. And we wanted to say our thoughts are definitely with all the residents of St. Vincent, where one of the volcanoes has erupted, and, you know, certainly hope that they fare better than the folks on Montserrat, who had a volcano erupt years and years ago, and it actually wiped out a good portion of the island. But fortunately, I guess, we've got all these cruise ships that are empty. So Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Celebrity have actually sent ships on a rescue mission. The Royal Caribbean and Celebrity got in last night. Carnival's getting in today, and each ship's going to carry about 1,500 people. They've negotiated to rescue these people and take them to neighboring islands where they can shelter in place, I guess. So that's some really heartwarming news. So our hopes and thoughts go to all of those people. And then some interesting developments. I actually had to update all my notes this morning before we did this because so much is going on. So earlier I was going to say that Florida had been threatening to sue the CDC. Well, they did.
They did. They did. Bam.
Yep. Yeah, so Norwegian Cruise Lines, I think, was a bit of a catalyst in all of this. A couple of days ago, they announced that they were going to be moving their ship home ports to the Caribbean and doing non-US sailings. And then they said that they basically advised the CDC that come July, they would be cruising from US ports. So sort yourselves out.
Right.
And I think that, and pretty immediately following that. Now, I don't know any insider info on the CDC and the inner workings, but let's just follow the news and go, well, okay, they said this. And then the CDC said, okay, well, we'll make some changes and we'll start, maybe we could start in July. I don't know. So seems like there's a bit of a link there. But yeah, so there's a lot of changes going on there. And just so people understand, the reason why it is so important for Florida to keep those home ports is because of the port fees. So if you've ever cruised before, you know that there's a certain amount of your cruise fee is port charges. Now, if you've ever been to the island of Grand Bahamas, where Freeport is located, I've been there and I've toured the island, and it's amazing to drive through neighborhoods where the only thing that's been developed is the streets and the streetlights. And the streetlights work. There's no houses for miles, but it's because they make so much money on port fees that the island is actually quite affluent financially. And so imagine having all of that money stripped away which is basically what's happening to Florida. So we'll see what happens with that. Virgin has also moved. They had a new ship that was going to be debuting, actually was supposed to debut last year, and then COVID, blah, blah, blah. So they actually have relocated that to Britain, and they're going to be doing some British or UK citizen cruises. And it's interesting because it's adult only cruises and it's all inclusive. So food, drinks, everything's included.
Yeah.
So yeah, Richard, if you need someone to sample it, give me a call.
Yeah.
If you want me to work for you, give me a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I guess the other thing we were going to talk about is the new vaccine requirements. So a lot of cruises, majority, are saying that all crew and all staff and crew, as well as all passengers over the age of 16, are going to be required to have a vaccine. And, obviously if you're a kid, you'll have to have a negative PCR test. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think that's fair? Do you think it's punitive?
I think that they're all going to go that way.
I mean, think so too.
It only takes one person to flick that switch, right? And then everybody follows suit, and the cruise lines certainly followed suit very quickly. So now the first resort that goes and does it, the next one's going to start to follow suit, and it's just going to be the way of the world in travel going forward, I think. But maybe it won't. I don't know.
I believe so too, especially for the next probably year or so, next couple of years, just until there's a handle on this. And of course, we don't think it's ever going to go away, but at least, be able to have a handle on it where majority of the people are vaccinated. That, I think that's going to be probably the way it's going to go for the next little bit, for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely in this, and I shouldn't use the word purgatory, but it feels like we're in this middle period where we had the depths of COVID, the pandemic, and then we have the other side of it where we're through. And we reach herd immunity and all that good stuff. Well, I mean, what are we at? I don't know. I didn't check the numbers. I think the Americans are at over 30% have had their first dose. Canada, I think we're at 17% have had their first dose. So we're getting there, but until we have everybody vaccinated around the world and until we reach herd immunity, I think it may sound punitive that people will be required to have a vaccine passport, because there's lots of people out there that either physically can't have the vaccine or they are anti-vax. And but we have to remember that travel is a privilege. So for the next 6 months, year, whatever it is, you might not be able to travel or get on a plane.
Well, I think they will. They're going to need that for the next little while, like even to board the planes. That's the biggest, people stop me on the street and say, well, do you think we're going to need a passport or vaccination passport to travel? Like, that's the number one question that comes out of their mouth. Like half stranger, maybe more an acquaintance. And that's the question that comes out of their mouth. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I can see it going that way for sure. But, and it makes sense if they want to get, if the travel industry needs to open up and that's what it takes, then go for it.
You have to, because otherwise we're going to just still be sitting here.
Yeah, functionally it'll be interesting to see how they do it. I don't see all of us passing in our passports and getting a new stamp on them or something. I don't know. Who knows what it'll look like, but I agree. I think that for the short term, I mean, somebody posed a question on Facebook the other day and said, what do you think about group trips, like group excursions? And I was like, no. And I was a little bit surprised by my response, because ladies, I didn't even tell you I have a trip booked.
Oh, you
did you? Good job.
Yeah. When are you going?
I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I booked. I'm going in. I've pegged it for October. I figure if I don't get my first dose until May, June, July, August, September, I should be okay for October. It is fully refundable. Back to original form of payment. So
awesome.
I'm good, but the Hyatt Ziva Los Cabos, get ready because I might be coming.
Hey, right on. That's exciting, isn't it?
It is exciting.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I'm excited for you, and it's not even going.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Oh, that's great. Good for you.
Thanks.
Good job.
Yeah. So yeah, like we've got Hawaii, like they want vaccinations, passports. The UK and the British government, Boris Johnson, they're saying that again. I think we talked about this in the first show, maybe about that green light health pass or something, so that they can open up and travel within their own countries. And it just makes sense. Like it just it's such a broad opinion that I have, but I think we need to get something moving.
Yeah. Well, Virginia, or sorry, Virgin Atlantic, sorry,
Yeah.
is trying out a new app on their London to Barbados route starting next week, I believe. And Barbados said they'll accept that travel pass for people coming into their country.
Well, Virgin is the man of the brand, right? He seems to be doing everything. He's above everybody else, and good for him.
Yeah.
He's working on a way through.
That's right.
That's the distinction that I feel is a gap in Canada. Our government appears to be waiting until COVID magically disappears, and then we just say, okay, now you can travel again.
Right.
But if that doesn't happen for 5 years, we're just not going to travel. We're just going to watch our tourism industry
crumble.
Disappear. Yeah.
I don't think the world economy can afford that. It's a pretty big chunk of money that they make off tourism, like in the whole entire world. So there's countries that survive off of that one whole prosperity sector, right there. So it's going to be time, but the time will come and it will come back as it always does. But if we want to start to travel again, Christine, you have a few fun little travel tips for us, don't you?
Well, yeah. So funny that you mentioned this, because I was actually hoping to go away next month because I have a big milestone birthday coming up. It's looking dire. But consequently, I haven't really worried too much. I have had a mama burger with cheese for breakfast at A&W. Hot tip, in case you didn't know, you can get burgers at A&W all day long. It's not the all day breakfast, it's the all day burger. So and I try to exercise and stuff like that, but it's, that the elliptical, it gets boring.
Right.
But what I have found, and this is maybe reverting back to my youth in the 80s and the 90s, when I used to bop around and teach aerobics and all that kind of stuff, when we used to play hit music. And it's sort of become a vacuum or a gap, because on copyright issues, you can't really do that. Well, there's quite a few channels out there who have found a way around this, and you can follow along their free exercise classes on YouTube. It is a free class, and they play really good music. So Up to the Beat Fit is one of the channels that I really like watching. She's got some great music, and it's mostly step workouts, so it's not a lot of impact, and she'll also show like low impact options, and they vary in length from like as little as 8 minutes to 20 minutes, or you can string them together. You can create your own playlist. And the same with Chloe Ting. There's a few YouTubers that I've been following. Beatrice Caruso, she's on this goal to lose 100 pounds over the course of a year or something. And she did the Chloe Ting 2-week challenge. You guys remember about a month ago when I could barely move, and I was doing this challenge. It's difficult. You end up doing 3 or 4 workout videos per day, but it's hard. I did lose several inches from doing it. And you just have to put in the time, but it's really good music, so it keeps you motivated, and it's free, so you can't go wrong with that.
Free is good. And as you're trying to get us all fit, so we look good in our bathing suits when we're on the beach, when we can travel. Ironically, exactly. I'm waiting for a book that I ordered. I think it comes out the 20th of April, of Anthony Bourdain's last book. And it is all about world traveling and neat little informations on, the best, diviest places to eat, but the best food and the best places to stay. And they're very short clips on each place that he's been to, but he picks out the best. So for the foodie traveler, I'd like to consider myself a foodie traveler. Not that I don't want to be fit, but you got to get some of that good food out there.
Oh, for sure.
So for anyone who's watching right now, please comment below and let us know what your favorite food memory is, because I know I've got a bunch of them. Do you have one, Tammy?
Oh God. Yeah, I've got a few of them too, but I'm a big seafood lover. especially traveling. You can't get, you get the best seafood when you're out traveling. So I remember there's a restaurant on the boardwalk, the marina in Cabo, called Lorenzio's, I believe. Have you been there, Christine? And yeah, and I just love sitting out. We've done it a couple times, and I just love sitting out on the deck there and just watching the boats roll in, and the fishermen's come back in after their day of fishing, and chowing down on some good seafood.
Christine, how about you?
Yeah, well, you know, and I think I've researched all these fitness shows because I figure if I do the time, then I can do the crime. So get my workout in, and then because as soon as you say that, you know, my memories, I think cheese. Cheese is my issue. I remember having some fabulous queso fundido in Cabo in Mexico. But the best meal I've ever had in my life, and we've already talked about going back, is Giovanni's Italian restaurant in Aruba. It's on the north end of the island, and it is just steps away from the Riu, the Hyatt, the Westin, all these other great resorts. And they bring out this massive Parmesan cheese wheel. No word of a lie, it's that big. And they pour some, I think it was whiskey or scotch or something, bourbon into it, and they light it up. And they stir it so that the cheese on the bottom starts to melt. And they get this cheesy mixture, and they stir it and they stir it. And then they add pasta to the cheese. So you're not putting the sauce on top. You're putting the pasta in, and then you stir it until every last strand is coated in cheese. And then he gets this like pasta fork, and he sticks it in, and he rolls it up, and he had this ball like this big of spaghetti, and he puts that on one plate. Then he gets another one, and it's equally like, we're talking massive snowball size, and he puts that down on the same plate. Then he gets another one, and he puts that on the second plate. So my husband and I shared this meal. So a 2-portion meal was basically, I don't know, in the range of 10, maybe 20,000 calories. But we ate and ate and ate until we couldn't eat anymore.
Until you had to go to sleep.
Rolled back to the resort. Like literally.
Oh my God.
But it was, I mean, right? Doesn't that sound amazing?
You know what? I have a lot. I don't even know which one's my favorite one, but that's going to be my new one.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, no doubt. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess Italy comes to mind. Like the pizza in Italy is just fabulous. It is so delicious, or delicioso, or however you want to say it. And like just being in Venice, like I was in Croatia and Dubrovnik and a whole bunch of places a long time ago. And it's their pizza over there is just something to be said. You can't, nobody, I don't think anybody could reproduce that here in North American.
I mean, I haven't yet to go to Europe. So
I think it's the sauce.
Oh, sauce does a lot.
It makes a big difference. Yeah. It's the sauce, and it's not even really cheesy. I mean, they might have a little, like, well, it depends which one you get, but it's very basic, like the marinara, or not the marinara. How do you pronounce it? I can't remember the name of it. It's on every pizza menu out there. It just doesn't taste like that. So I'd go back to Italy for that. I bet you I honestly ate pizza every single day. Now, mind you, we were doing a lot of walking, so I was okay with that.
You did the time.
I did the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
But Tammy, we have a whole bunch of national days.
We got a couple, yes. And actually, a new one I found out today, earlier this morning, is National Fondue Day. Speaking of food, cheese. Speaking of cheese and food, yeah. So National Fondue Day. We also had just a couple days ago, April 7th was National Beer Day. And
it was
today. Nope, tomorrow is going to be Gin and Tonic Day.
I'll take that.
So cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
I'll
take the gin.
It's a little bit early, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
It's never too early. Cheers. Never too early. And
you have a special guest joining us today, don't you, Tammy?
I do. making her debut on A New View in Travel.
Jovi.
Little Miss Jovi.
Aw, Jovi.
It is also National Pet Day on April 11th. So yeah, we've got a few great options. Hey, sweetie.
Wow. Jovi, thanks for joining us today all the way
Yes.
from Regina.
Buena
Regina
Vista.
Oh,
Buena
yes.
Vista. So
You're a cutie, Jovi. And okay, wait, I got to ask you, why Jovi? Where's the name come from?
Bon Jovi, of course.
I just had to have everybody else know that. I
Yeah,
knew it,
yeah.
but
Our little sweetie pea.
oh, that's
Our
awesome.
little rescue. Yeah.
Thanks, Jovi. Thanks for joining us.
Yay, yay. Okay.
Coming up on our next show, well, again, we'll have some more breaking news because it's going to go crazy again in the next couple of weeks. More importantly, I think we're going to spend a little bit of time next week, I think, talking about service fees and going forward and just, is it worth it? Do you think it's worth it? We know we're worth it. And just to maybe go over and explain the worth and why, and who will and who won't. So I think we're going to spend a little bit of time on that next week. And of course, more fun facts and travel tips, because we always have something fun to share with you guys.
Because we're fun girls.
Well, I think so. If you enjoyed the show today, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, A New View on Travel, and Facebook groups, A New View on Travel as well. Thank you for spending time with us again. I mean, we really appreciate it. It's fun for us to do this, and we hope you enjoyed the show as much as we're enjoying the show. It's awesome to talk about travel again, and it might not all be good, but again, we're always seeing that light at the end of the tunnel, and we can't wait to do it with you again in a couple weeks. And we'll have more stuff, and as we share our thoughts on A New View on Travel. So thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'm going on the GO train now. I'll see you later.